We should have had a double, but unfortunately, both horses ran third. But
broadcasting live from the backstretch at Saratoga, this is the Handicappers Report. Brought to you by CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Handicappers Report. If you're tuning in at 9 o'clock, you'll see a different show. But 12:05 post time, 13 races today. And I always like to give our audience it straight. This is not best case scenario. This is rough. It rained overnight down in the Capital District. I'm guessing it rained up here last night.
Yeah. And it seemed like pretty much like this overnight. It's a steady kind of drizzle. I mean, it's not pouring, but it's been steady.
And as we are nearing 4 hours away from post time, it's the greatest game in the world played outdoors. Might be a tougher day today. Losing races on the turf, I think that's almost a given. I'm told 1, 4, and 13 are off the turf. They're going to obviously try and hold the stakes races as long as they can. I'm not, completely. I don't follow the weather because I'm like, the way some people do, hour by hour. I'm like, it's one of those things. A, I can't control it, and B, I'm going to live it, so I don't have to, project out. So, but it's going to be rough, and it's truly unfortunate because it's a great card for the people. It's a great card for the horsemen. It's as good as our sport is. I think it's safe to say, Seth, over the last 10 years, maybe 15, there's been a concentrated effort to make Whitney Day the 1A day. They really have talked about how 10 years ago the purse was greater than the Travers, but they've really made it where, we talk about the people at Churchill Downs where they have, the Stephen Foster preview day after the, Derby weekend. And it's the way racing is going. I think Saratoga does as good a job as any track. The nature of the timing, as much as we don't like it, the way big horses run less often, it's kind of what trainers want. So it's a great opportunity to have two super big days. But super big day number one is going to take adjustments. It's a part of the game that I love. So
hasn't stopped the Jim Bond horses or a lot of workers out there. There was some gate works going on when I drove in, so folks are still out there. And again, it's late enough that people are standing by the rail and watching too the rain. So it's a drizzle, but again, it's been a steady drizzle all day, all overnight.
And I always tell people, when it rains left to right, that doesn't usually last very long. This is the type of rain and look that it's going to be here. I'm rather sure through the 2 hours of morning program on Capital, and then we'll see how the day plays. But just a quick note on yesterday from me, an example, Seth, where I'm very intrigued. So we got to the Oaks, and Cinderella's Dream was what, 3-10. I had the longest shot on the board, Catherine Marissa, who gave me everything I could possibly want.
Stretch, I thought you were there.
I did too. The pick 5. Now, some will say a 288 was, a terrific price. You beat Geopolitics in the last race. That kind of helps you. I'd be extraordinarily interested in what the pick 5 was, swapping out Catherine Marissa. Well, that was probably a branch.
I guess it must.
I can see the branch that fell. So We're taking.
Folks may not have been able to hear it, but something crashed onto the roof a moment ago.
So that's an example where I would be so interested in what the pick 5 was with Catherine Marissa, who was 36 times the price of Cinderella's Dream.
I think it would have been significantly better.
And my thought is, and I parsed this out for you the other day, my thinking going in is, I think 3 times a year, a race like that, everything else is similar, that a Catherine and Marissa beats a Cinderella's Dream. And I'd be let's forget 36 times. Let's say that it came back 288, but let's say 300.
Coming back 288, Cinderella's Dream had to have a significant impact because there was only one other favorite in the mix.
Yes.
And there weren't huge prices, but on a pick 5, usually,
I
you're
think
getting
at
past
least
the
2 of the others were the second choices. And I just get the feeling with pick 5 serious players, a second choice and a favorite is listening to people talk about $128 tickets. Well, I presume you get there with multiple, first and second choices. Listen, just guessing, but that's that. I was watching the races yesterday unfold, Seth, and it just jumped out at me. She was good deep in the stretch. She got run over. She was not winning the race, but I was just like, boy, I wonder what, the pick 4, I was like, it can't possibly be. So let's extrapolate it at 30 times. It can't be $9,000. So let's say it's half that, $4,500.
That's fair, I think.
That's what I'd be chasing 3 times a year.
Yeah.
So, but Cinderella's Dream was good.
Yeah.
Were you surprised by the scratches? Like, why do you scratch out of the $400,000 race on that?
Well,
was one horse not even here? Was
think
Aiden O'Brien's not even here?
that's a good question. But Andy was saying, and you kind of alluded to it too. I think he was referring to this race on the morning show yesterday. Andy Serling, who said, maybe if this isn't getting supported, maybe we got to rethink it.
Oh, he mentioned. Yes, that is what I alluded to. I give the tracks and everything kudos for putting something, trying to get something out there. And if it doesn't get supported, I think in that case, you have every right to be like, well, listen, we tried.
Yeah.
You got a 3-year-old colt in the barn, and we realize in America, dirt racing, but we got this brilliant series. Brilliant.
Yeah.
And if, I'm going to have 5-horse fields, 4-horse fields, I can't run for 400,000.
Yeah.
I'll run for 200.
Yeah. Which is fair.
It's, we'll see. But, Cinderella's Dream was that's the way a 3 to 10 shot's supposed to look like. Just ran over the top of me, and I got
I say, top of the stretch. I thought you were there, but it was just kind of outclassed a bunch. Neat, looked pretty good.
Great word for it. She was outclassed. That's great. Yeah. She was outclassed.
Irad with 3 on the day. Where do we stand now? He's got 22. Flavian Prat at 20 at this point. So it's a nice day for Irad. Got good reports for folks who were over at the Hall of Fame. So it was a nice Hall of Fame ceremony. Oh, and the guy.
I want to thank Mr. Seth, who went out of his way.
No problem. I didn't go out of my way.
Well,
I was going over anyway, but happy to do it. Got you and one of the other OTV guys a couple of shirts, and I can attest it was very popular. There were long lines, and there was a lot of people subsequently walking around the track wearing their shirts. And I said that and the trucker cap weren't in my wheelhouse,
right.
But I could see them both being very popular. I think
what's funny is I'm usually the anti the giveaway, because still to this day, my second favorite ever one was the Atlas that people threw at the track. It was an unbelievable, I want to say 92, but I loved it. The only one I liked better, and I've said this before, I wish they would either make them and sell them retail, but in 91, and Jerry Lawrence told me it was a flop, which goes to show you how it is, the glassware of the Big Four Saturday Stakes racing. They had, it was the we talked about this before, the Whitney, the Alabama, Travers, and the Hopeful. So you got the glassware, so it was deposit ticket, it was Go for Wand, it was Rhythm, and Criminal Type. And then they had the winners of like 40 or 50 years on the glass. And my wife put them through the dishwasher, and it's all
I like the
worn
glasses
off.
too, and every year we get Kentucky.
But Jerry
Derby
Lawrence
glasses.
told me, Anthony, stop by with your car. We'll get you as much as you want. But I love that one. But this one, apparently, I was on board with the good people. It was popular, and I wanted it. And Mr. Seth got me home.
No, it was very popular. All right, let me hit on the promos coming up. Because today at the Clubhouse Racebook, it's King of the Hill, and you can be King of the Hill. And as I say, Shannon Donovan from the marketing department shot me an email earlier this week, and I think it was 800 up for grabs, King of the Hill, as it hasn't been hit over the last couple of weeks. So you can jump in and take your shot today at the Clubhouse Racebook if you want to, get indoors and enjoy also lunch down there, and so you can have a great day at the Clubhouse. I'm imagining also some Olympics, I would think, would likely be on the TV, the sports TV screens down there. And so King of the Hill, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Bounty bet today. Bounty bet throughout the meet will be on, the Saratoga meet will be on Saturdays. It'll be the final pick 5 here at Saratoga. Play that with your Capital OTB bet account, and you're in for a shot at the Bounty. And don't forget the $150 pick 3 bankroll. Back up and Adam tomorrow. You maybe get on the team. We'll randomly select when we close at about noontime tomorrow. But entries are open now at capitalotb.com for the $150 pick 3 bankroll team, which happens on Sunday tomorrow.
You ready? 13 race car, 12:05 kickoff. I wonder if they asked trainers with these. Oh, yes. I apologize. I got so excited for this card. Kevin Cox with the DePaula Play of the Day on Whitney Day.
The race for savings is going on now at DePaula Chevrolet. Pick your Chevy, pick your payment, and DePaula delivers. Or every Chevy, 0 down payment, 0 first payment, 0 security.
So come join the family and think DePaula for all your automotive needs.
Hello, everybody. Kevin Cox, the Brooklyn Cowboy, here with your DePaula Play of the Day from beautiful Saratoga Race Course. We've been giving you our plays of the day on Fridays and Saturdays throughout the meet, and we've been basing our success on a 50 to win, 30 to place, 20 to show wager. And after showing a flat bet profit in the first 2 years in doing this, we're off to a flying start once again. As after 6 selections, we have 2 wins, 2 placings, and 2 third-place finishes, while showing a 60% profit in our wagers for the bankroll team. We're going to look at race 2 today, the second half of the traditional early daily double for our play of the day. And for the first time ever, we're going to use a horse that we used earlier in the meet. In number 4, the Toner. Yes, we realize that we don't have this one on top in our column today, but that's not highly relevant given the format of our wager with the win, play, show style, as we're seeing this one as a 1, 2, 3 player once again. Colt improved by about 23.1% in the adjusted buyer department when having the hood removed last time out, and even with a slight regression, should be smack dab in the middle of things turning for home. You can't discount the 5 in-the-money finishes from his many dirt starts to date, and before you call him a money burner, keep in mind that he was only favored in one of those events. A race over the track is always very important with maidens, and we're hoping for a little bit of a cleaner onset today than last time out. So once again, our DePaula Play of the Day from Saratoga Race Course is in race number 2, the number 4, the Toner. Have a great Whitney Day, everybody, and we'll see you at the race.
The race for savings is going on now at DePaula Chevrolet. Pick your Chevy, pick your payment, and DePaula delivers. Or every Chevy, 0 down payment, 0 first payment, 0 security.
So come join the family and think DePaula for all your automotive needs.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. 12:05 post time. As of now, off the turf 1, 4, and 13. As I was alluding to, I wonder if they've asked the trainers with these mile 16 turf races being off the turf. They run them at a mile. I wonder if they asked the trainers, would you prefer that we go back to the old days of going 7/8?
I thought that was one of the reasons for the shoot, though, so that
they have
with
2-year-olds
off
on the
turf
dirt going
first,
a mile.
they would go though
with juveniles. Okay,
well,
you might be right.
I mean, I thought that was one of the reasons, but you may be right. With 2-year-olds, maybe it would be a different story. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's what we have in the opener. We're off the turf. We'll be on the mile out of the Wilson chute.
And I didn't change anything around. This is one of those races. A, there's no MTOs. B, I'm using some first-time starters. So I had it 8, 9, 6, and 4 turf. I have it 8, 9, 6, 4 dirt as well. Assertiveness on top. Sibling called Otello that won the first 2 starts of the career, including a stake. Bite into Mischief. There is plenty of wind early here. If they stick in, I'll stick with them. Ashbury Park, Chad Brown, firster. By Frankel, I'm curious whether they'll stick in. But
Right.
Sibling called Spanish Mission, third and then first. Dude in Colorado, third, first. So there's some early talent from this one. But again, we'll see if they stick with that breeding. Wesley Ward has Clock Tower. Now, this one comes off a debut down at Churchill, on the dirt. So I think likely to be in. Then off of that debut effort down at dirt, might wind up being the one to beat. Reach for the Rose. Safi Joseph runner that tried that win and you're in Royal Ascot race down at Gulfstream. The winner came back and ran well at Ascot. This one ran second to that one that day. And again, it'll be intriguing to see if they stick in. But if you look at the workouts underneath, I would not be shocked in the opener. 8, 9, 6, and 4.
I'm 6, 8, 9, Seth, and I'm wondering if the 6 and the 8 are getting the race they wanted.
Yeah.
Especially Clock Tower, the offspring of Not This Time. They're going to take blinkers off. With Wesley Ward, I mean, I don't talk about workouts very often, but the most recent workouts might indicate that Clock Tower would enjoy the turf race. But I'm rather sure that Not This Time, the offspring, is going to enjoy this. I think this happened. Not This Time had a 3-race career. Never ran after running second in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. But
isn't it Dale, right?
Yes, yeah. Dale Roman's trainer. I think his second start might have been the first year that Churchill Downs ran that September meet. And what's the prep for the Kentucky Jockey Club?
Street Sense?
The Street Sense? What's the old prep for? Remember, they used to have the Pocahontas and the Goldenrod. They used to have, but I think in the slop, Not This Time, won a very nice race at Churchill Downs. I think the first time they ran in September. I like Clock Tower. I think there's no chance we get 6-1, as Seth alluded to. Assertiveness, the 8, $650,000 an offspring of Into Mischiefs, who have been good on turf, but they've been great on dirt. And then I'll take Asbury Park. This is just conjecture. So I would be willing to bet the 6 stays and the 9 comes out of this race, but that is to be determined. 6, 8, 9 in the off the turf opener.
Race number 2, more 2-year-olds. These are state-bred maiden specials, and again, 3/4 of a mile.
6, 3, 4 for me. Gary Contessa's runner, 15-1 on the morning line. After that bullet on July 25th, not your average bullet, a zippy 34. And what is the labeling? Breezing, as nearly all of them are. How would he have gone handily? Like 33-1? What was that? What Secretary blew out for the Belmont? 33-1 or something?
Yeah.
It was zippy. So an offspring of Liam's map, you're talking Unbridled Song, you're talking Moisture. You're not talking 15-1 for his wife. That's it. For second probability, first-time starter for Todd Pletcher, $300,000 at the sales. Irad gets them out. And then the toner, my third pick, the veteran in the group, 6, 3, 4.
3, 4, 7, and 8 probability on top for me. The only 2 siblings both won in their third career start. This was a race where, I like to look at, the sale prices, 2-year-old sale workouts and whatnot, connections, breeding. None of that really jumped out to me here. So I'll tilt in this direction slightly. Second spot, the Toner. Certainly, experience counts, and this one's been knocking at the door. Makes sense. And then Corvus. Vino Rosso has a little bit of win early as a sire. And this one, I thought the debut was okay. Seemed like one to build on. So, and it was against a restricted maiden special, but restricted by that auction price. So this one actually debuted as a New York bred against Open Company in a restricted race, however, but maybe more suited, or may find this company a little more to his liking. We shall see. 3, 4, 7, and 8.
On to the 4 starter allowance. Optional claimers going a mile.
3, 4, 8, and 5. Batacata, if I came close to that. Batacata. 2 races, 2 and 3 starts back at Gulfstream were pretty good. Then Safi popped up to Woodbine. I had Safi in, was it just yesterday? I think it was. It all starts to come together. But I asked him, he's running some horses up at Woodbine. He said, yeah, we've kind of been shooting for the stakes program up there. This one tried the stake, didn't fare necessarily well. But that start 2 back that was a win at Gulfstream was a stakes race also. I think comes down here well suited to give a shot to this particular group and company. Deck of cards in the second spot, comes off a nice win earlier in the meet. Goes out for Mike Maker again. And again, off of that last try. I would think the game plan will be very similar to this afternoon. Try to take them all the way, blast out of the gate and say, catch me if you can. And does have a wet track victory. And in the third spot, Movie Moxie, going out for trainer Linda Rice. Also has some okay races on off tracks. Comes in off a kind of a dud here at Saratoga last time, but the number is comparable with this group. So in the third, 3, 4, 8, and 5.
5, 1, 3 for me. Hopefully Cinderella will have back-to-back days. This one, Cinderella's cause will be a higher price, I'm almost guaranteeing. And Linda Rice, I think we're going to stay in with the moisture in the racetrack. Good effort, a couple races back on the off-going. I have deck of cards second. I think razor sharp here. Another example, Seth, I wasn't playing Belterra, but, the 13, 14-month layoff didn't matter. Down the road by about 10. It just doesn't matter anymore. And then I have the 3 for Safi Joseph. 5, 1, 3 in the third.
Fourth race, again, this is one of the 3 that at this point is off the turf. The fourth race, state bred allowance non-winners and 1 runners, 1 mile is the trip.
And with the olders, the mile to the mile makes tons of sense. 6, 3, 4 for me. Bossy Jeans for Mike Maker, second start of the year. 1 on the seasonal debut, first time in for a tag. Now the New York Red tries tougher after an impressive victory by Daylight. For second, Silent Melody. Jorge Abreu stated an off the turfer on opening day. We'll try it again from the inside, and then She Takes Cash. Safi Joseph's other runner in here. I like the effort on the synthetic, and now we'll see if they stay on the off-going. So 6, 3, 4 for me.
I did switch things up. I went 7, 12, 3, and 11. I thought Elliptic off of the most recent dirt races might be very good in here with the surface switch. Nice win, 2 back down at Churchill. Last time went in a starter allowance at Churchill and wound up the track. That was the first off the claim. But I think now moving up to New York and trying state breds. And again, with some good dirt experience, as we saw 2 starts back, I'll put that one on top on the dirt. Call Her Bluff in the second spot. MTO runner comes in with a win streak. And with the surface switch, probably is the one that's going to take the action, be the one to beat. And then in the third position, again, on the dirt, Silent Melody with the off-the-turf race last time. I think there was enough there to think probably a player in this particular situation this afternoon. Fourth race, I have it 7, 12, 3, and 11. Time now for the dark horse play of the day, and it's going to be the next race we get to after the commercial, but I will give you the head start. Fifth race today, maiden specials going 6. I went with number 5, Uncaged, on top, and I'll make that my dark horse play of the day at a 6-1 morning line. Curlin, very good with first-time starters. 44 this year, 10 wins, 8 seconds, and and now I'm looking, and 4 thirds. So again, 12 exacta finishes in 44 starts among the firsters this year for Curlin. Another sibling called Hippodrome took 7 starts to win, but in those 7 starts had the win in 3 seconds. So 4 times in the exact in the first 7 starts of the career. So I thought there was a little win early on the bottom as well. It's Todd Pletcher, steady string of workouts. A couple of them are looking pretty good. It's an interesting field in here. The other Pletcher horse, Classicist, is interesting. Sea Vista is a sibling to Nash. You may remember that one showed some early talent. But I'm going to take a little pop with Uncaged in here. First time starter for Todd Pletcher. It's the dark horse play of the day. Race number 5, horse number 5, Uncaged. Brought to you by the Dark Horse Mercantile and Impressions of Saratoga, both on Broadway downtown. Again, earlier this week I was down there. Impressions is back open, up and running. So go down if you're going for dinner after the races. They're open until 9. You'll have a fun time. Fun to browse through both places. And we appreciate their sponsorship of the Dark Horse Play of the Day.
And if I had to bet a wooden nickel, I would have, and you told me it was race 5, your dark horse play of the day, I would have went with the rail horse, CK Wonder, the offspring of Vacoma, at 10-1 on the morning line. And when you said the race 5, I go, oh, it's got to be the one.
Yeah, I looked. It's a fun race.
Yes, it is. Take a quick break. When we come back, more on Whitney Day.
Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued the 102-year tradition of delighting their local following and faithful summer crowd with the finest authentic Italian recipes. Classic Italian dishes made with the freshest ingredients, served in a home-like setting. Some things have changed in the last 102 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
It only takes one upset to make history, and now you can be part of Saratoga's long tradition at the Dark Horse Mercantile. The Dark Horse Mercantile offers a carefully curated selection of clothing, gifts, and home decor, from one-of-a-kind vintage racing memorabilia to select brands like Barber and Under Armour, as well as exclusive Dark Horse branded merchandise. So celebrate the Dark Horse in all of us at the Dark Horse Mercantile, downtown Saratoga, where the smart bet is always the Dark Horse.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're on to race number 5, which has already been foreshadowed. 2-year-olds, open company, going 6.
Again, my dark horse play today, 5, 6, 7, and 1, and I mentioned it Uncaged before the break. Little win early, top and bottom, Todd Pletcher. But no gimme. Classicist also going out for Todd Pletcher, also by Curlin, so the good Curlin numbers. The dam produced a sibling called Jouster. 2nd, then 5th, and a couple of wins, another 2nd and a win. So the first 6 starts, 3 wins in a couple seconds. Classicist could be dangerous. Sea Vista going out for Brad Cox. Street Sense, okay with first-time starters. Sibling Nash won in the 2nd start. And again, that one just recently in the last couple of years showed some talent early on. Spa City won in the 3rd start. Sarah Street won in the 2nd start. Mrs. Hudson won the debut. So Sea Vista, very, very dangerous. And yeah, you mentioned CK Wonder with Vacoma on top. I wouldn't write that one off either. 5, 6, 7, and 1.
I'm 9, 6, 5. And Seth, as I reevaluate this with the moisture, etc., I'm projecting that not a single runner is injured, and I don't mean in the literal sense. I don't think their chances of winning are lessened by the offgoing. All 9 of them, I'm thinking, would have some affinity for moisture in the racetrack. So that leaves it as perplexing. Now, there might be some trainers that scratch out because they've seen some things that indicate, no, not me. My horse can't stand up in it. But I went 9, 6, 5. And I had 2 reasons for putting the 9 on top. Both of them solid for me. One is I have a race under the belt, the type of race that I'm actually attracted for the 2nd start. Usually I'm a less well angle for the 2nd start. By the way, last year's favorite on opening day, what was that? Wine on tap or something, out of Del Mar in an entry-level allowance. But Cyclone said it's 10-1 in the morning line. I think that will stand up based on the players in the race. We're on the outside, which might be good for a 2-year-old. I don't want to take too sharp of a right-hand turn. And we have experience. I mean, in a race where I'm guessing.
I'll give you a third.
What do you got?
The bullet work jumps out.
Yes.
Too.
I mean, so you're wondering, post that July 6th debut, Seth mentioned the bullet. I have, the 2 Curlins underneath, the 6 and the 5, but the 7 for Godolphin, the 1, as I mentioned, CK Wonder. It's a skull buster for the horizontals, 965.
Race number 6, we are looking at maiden special 2-year-olds going 6 furlongs for $100,000.
And the reason I mentioned that for the horizontals, because if you're a vertical like me, we can simply skip them. But when you're a horizontal, you don't have that option. So you have to invest. 245 for me. It's been so long, Seth. But is this back-to-back? So is this a split division?
I
think that it is.
Conditions just the same.
So, and the reason I bring it up is that was something we had rather frequently in the old days. Now, they would usually not be back-to-back races. It usually be like 3 and 5, etc. But I'm guessing this was a split division. Probably more popular on Saturday, the entry box. So I'm 245 here once again. No one called me, but Contrabandist, an offspring of Gun Runner who went in the Hall of Fame yesterday, 300,000 on debut for Todd Pletcher. Praetor, I'm guessing 2 syllables, and Into Mischief, William Lawrence, Into Mischief. And El Pastigio for Steve Asmussen, a practical joke, but good luck getting through race 5 and 6 for your horizontal players.
9, 2, 4, and 10 for me. Antietam on top. Sibling called Warfighter with 4th and 1 in the second start. Bugle, second, then 1. American Heroine, 3rd, then 1. Air Force Blue, 1. Then 2nd, then 3 straight wins. That was over in Europe. I think this horse has a lot of win early. Todd Pletcher, Irod Ortiz. I'll go with Antietam on top. Contrabandist in the second spot. Gun Runner, okay with first-time starters. Siblings from the Dam, Gigante, 5th in debut, then won the next 2. Tryon Summer had 3 second-place finishes, followed by a win. West End Gambler, 2nd, 4th, and then a couple of wins. So, again, there's win early there. It's Todd Pletcher again. Some nice workouts underneath. And Praetor in the 3rd spot. Almost a $250,000 purchase, and then goes to Chad Brown. Kind of enough said there. Obviously, there were some hopes at the sale, and moved it into the Chad Brown barn, who does very well with the 2-year-old firsters up here at Saratoga added in, and a nice steady string of workouts underneath. None of them jump off the page, but steady. I have it 9, 2, 4, and 10.
I told you I went to Antietam the morning that I went to Laurel.
I knew you're a state park and
I'm a history guy.
Yeah, Civil War kind of
single. I mean, for those who history bores them to tears, single worst day in American history.
Wondering if does the breeding lead into that at all?
Well, he said the other one was a war fighter, so I was like, well, somebody's onto something there.
Comes out of the damn Chatham. I don't know if is that a Civil War reference?
Chatham?
Yeah.
Civil War? I don't think so.
Then I don't know. Then somebody just was a fan.
I was on my way to Laurel and went to Antietam. On to the 7th race as of this moment on the turf, and they're going to do all that they can to keep it. The Saratoga Derby Invitational, 1 mile and 3/16.
8-7-2-5. White Palomino on top. Chad Brown runner, who numbers are moving in the right direction. Has just missed in the past couple. The Pennine Ridge and the Belmont Derby. I'm wondering, the experience under the belt, those improving numbers will be set this afternoon to kind of step forward. 3 back broke the maiden on a little bit of off-going down at Keeneland, so I like that as well. Royal Majesty in the 2nd spot. Bill Mott trainee also on a series of improving numbers since coming over here from Europe in the career debut. A couple of nice efforts, but like the top pick in the last two has been in the Pennine Ridge and the Belmont Derby and has been behind the top pick. But again, moving in the right direction number-wise and should be a player this afternoon. And Cagino, I've liked throughout the career for our friends at West Point, goes out for Shug and has run very well. 5 exacta finishes and 6 career starts, and that includes a stakes race last time down at Churchill. I think Cagino could be very, very tough in here, but I have it 8, 7, 2, and 5.
I had zero feel for this race. Seth, I have practically the entire field save one viable option to win. And so I'm 6, 4, 7, and Carson's run. We're gonna go farther than we've ever gone in the afternoon. I like the third race of the season. I like the 2-year-old season on the turf. Won the tail of the cat at 8.5 at Monmouth. This, I figured they get a good price with with Legend of Time and others in here. Diego Velasquez in here. I just was taking a flyer because I just don't have a great feel for this race, but I think we'll be in contention. I think we'll run better than odds, and I'm hoping Carson's run finds the winner's circle for West Point. Diego Velasquez, Aiden O'Brien, see if this one runs. And my other question yesterday was, and this is something that, I could perhaps do a better job. I don't know where I would go, but I could figure it out. Are they on the track? Are they over at the stakes barn or et cetera? Because why would you ship this far and scratch a European with a little give in the ground?
Yeah.
6, 4, 7 for me.
Race number 8, one of everybody's favorite races.
I think we're going to take a break.
Oh, I thought it was after 8. Okay. Yeah, you're right. No, you're right. You're right.
Right.
It was
okay.
7.
I blow through them very often. Take a quick break. When we come back, more.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
A day at the track isn't complete without a night at the Horseshoe. Great food, hot music, and cold drinks. So why go downtown when all the action's just across from the track? The Horseshoe Inn at the corner of Nelson and Gridley.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It was your turn. I was just so excited because the Test and the Whitney have always been my 2 favorite races at Saratoga.
I kind of started before we went to the break and said annually, I think a lot of people would put the Test up in their top 5 every year.
Now, here I have to say something that I think completely demonstrates to our audience how the game has changed. Completely. I can sum it up in one sentence. You ready?
Yeah.
When the pick 6 came to New York on a full-time basis, the 8th race wrapped it up. Today, it starts the pick 6. And there you have it.
Yeah,
that is racing's evolution.
So pick 6 starts off at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It is the Test, grade 1 event, $500,000 up for grabs. These are 3-year-old sprinting fillies, and we've made this point recently. It's a subdivision now. I mean, there was a time that signals the change in the game too. Test horses would use it to lead into the Alabama. That's not a thing anymore. No. But again, annually, one of the more fun races every year. The Test. Your thoughts?
And a quick thing. So I think there were doubters out there. The pick 6 started in New York and got shut down. and got revived and has continued on. But they started it once. I forget what, and it did not meet with the popularity it did in California, and they shut it down. And now then they brought it back. We don't have the chiclets up here, but I would be very interested.
Well, the folks at home may have the
they
chiclets.
have the chiclets.
Our TV is on the fritz this morning.
2, 4, 5 for me. You know, 5 runners in here could win this race. I mean, to my way of thinking. And when I was done, it was Denim and Pearls. I actually was thinking I would receive a better price, and I try and be genuine in my feel. Like, you know, we all want a better price. I know, but the Beaumont, the return was brilliant. The 8 bells, not only would I have thought there'd be a regression at odds on, you got the slop, so I'm paying no mind to that. So my thought is the Brad Cox barn that I don't think you have to improve off the 96, and I'll get to ways and means in a second. So Denim and Pearls has already shown me the ability to win this race, as have enough. I have Ways and Means, who, was very sharp on debut last year. Then she had some trouble in the spinaway and was runner-up. And then, that was the end of her juvenile season, and she was brilliant in the entry-level allowance race, triple-digit buyer figure, career best. If she runs anywhere near that, she's down the road. She's the race goes through her, and then I have my main squeeze, 2, 4, 5 in this year's test.
I went 4, 2, 1, 5. Yeah, I just thought, Ways and Means came back this year and had some trouble in that Gulfstream Park Oaks, and then the 4th in the Kentucky Oaks, and with the numbers, folks might have thought, maybe she didn't move forward. Well, it looks like the last race they said, all right, let's regroup, let's get a confidence builder. I think mission accomplished. She just ran very well in the latest, right up here at Saratoga Belmont Stakes weekend. I think that bodes well for this afternoon here in the test. I think she'll be the real deal. Denim and Pearls, however, does come in off of that win to start the season, 2 back. Less impressive last time, but again, had a little traffic there. But more importantly, since that last effort, those 2 workouts just say she's going to be very well met this afternoon. Emery in the 3rd spot for me, another Brad Cox runner, 4 wins and 5 career starts. She seems legit. I'm really intrigued to see what Brightwork can do in the seasonal debut. Brightwork was the filly that had such a brilliant 2-year-old season up through the spinaway, and then in the Alcibiades and Breeders' Cup Juvenile, maybe not so much. But this is her seasonal debut. This is a tough spot to start, but I'm intrigued to see what she can do, given the fact that she was 2 for 2 with stakes victories up here last year. So in the test for me, 4, 2, 1, and 5.
What intrigues me in the big picture here, I was wondering if, and maybe he's spoken to it, I don't typically listen to what trainers say, but which is fine, is if Ways and Means is going to be a 1-turn. I know she won the mile race, which is not a 1-turn race, but if they're thinking about, at least for her 3-year-old season, the second half of it, to concentrate on her, because there is a 7-furlong Breeders' Cup filly and mare sprint, if they don't think she's mature enough now to go a distance of ground against these fillies.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if this is who she's going to be for the next 2 or 3 races, which should be pretty darn good. On to the 9th race, the Lord, a mile and 16.
8, 5, 2, and 9, number 8, Smokin' Tea. I wonder if there'll be some pace to shoot at. Now, how it's going to play out now with the weather and whatnot, but I thought Swift Shore, a long shot, had a little bit of pace. I thought Dean Reeves, Christophe Clement runner, Big Everest had a little bit of early speed. Forever Super last time showed some speed. You look at the fractions. I don't think Forever Super will be out there, but I do think the other 2 could make it a little bit intriguing if they go up and put a little bit of pace on. If they do, I went back to that Appleton at Gulfstream, where the fractions, they hit the 3/4 and 110 and change, and Smokin' Tea made a nice little late run to get it done. I'm hoping that plays out. I'm sure we'll get the scratches, and Swift Shore and or Big Everest will scratch out, and my whole theory will fall apart. But I'm hoping that's the way it plays. I'll put Smokin' Tea on top. 2nd spot, Big Everest. If the pace doesn't wind up being some kind of a duel, this one might take them all the way around. Forever Super, again, led all the way last time. I looking at the fractions, I don't think that is necessarily the game plan today. But I think if we're looking at the recent races, Forever Super is very interesting. And I will note, because we've talked about this horse a number of times when we've had Joe Christofek on from Churchill Downs. This is a Johnny's Fireball. His Brilliant Racing Partnership is one of the part owners of that horse. And he said the last time I had him live on when we were down in the studio, he said, we're aiming for Saratoga and a little stakes action for Johnny's Fireball. So 20-1 on the morning line, probably deservedly so, but I'm certainly rooting for Johnny's Fireball and Joe Christofek and the whole team there. But I have it 8-5, 2 and 9. Reminds
me of the Della Rose, where you think a restricted stakes race might be a little softer. The waters are a little deep for Johnny's Fireball. I'm 149, and I'm Kubrick from the rail, the Chad Brown. I think he has a running style where the rail or temporary rail at 9 feet, I think is a match. I think Frankie will get position, one off the bench at Tampa impressively. I figure to get a price in here for the offspring of Dubai, and I am Kubrick in the lore. Irish Aces for second. Brendan Walsh's runner, making the third start in a cycle. Came back, ran a 95, regressed to a 91. We move forward, and then More Than Looks on the outside, making the seasonal debut off of the quality effort in the Breeders' Cup Mile, where they ran 6, but it was a real good 6. 149 in this year's lore.
I wonder if Peter Brandt is a movie fan, or there's some other reference to Kubrick.
Oh, I think we talked about this before. You would think Peter Brandt, a man of the world, might have known him. I mean, there's a chance they knew each other.
One of the greats, 2001 Paths of Glory with Amsterdam native Kirk Douglas. One of the greats of movie directors. Yes. All right, 10th race this afternoon. The Troy. Again, the weather, unfortunately, may play into this. We'll see how it works out. But I was really looking forward to the return of Cogburn. Still am. Again, we'll see what the turf condition is like. The Troy, $300,000 up for grabs. Grade 2 event, 5.5 on the grass.
Cogburn, there's like no way he could ever be horse of the year just based on the way it is. But he was good on the dirt. Like he was, better than good. He is exceptional on the turf, and I don't think this is going to bother him. I'm trying to beat him. You can see the chicklets. I'm 7-6-1. I'm taking a big shot here. That Big Invasion, who is a rather darn good turf sprinter, but takes on Cogburn today. And then I have Mischief Magic, who is a pretty good turf sprinter also. But you're facing the beast. And in the United States, I was trying to think. Lady Shipman on the Distaffer, she was one of the early rock-solid turf sprinters. Where Cogburn stands in the American, which is kind of like only about a 10 or 15-year thing.
59 and change for 5.5. It was phenomenal.
Rails were down.
It was a standout performance on that Belmont Stakes weekend here. 6, 7, 8, and 10. I put Cogburn on top. Star of Mystery, who ran third that day behind the eye-popping performance of Cogburn, came back and won, so flattered. Big Invasion also has had a start since the Jaipur, was well behind Cogburn and came back to just miss in the follow-up. So I also have Big Invasion right in the mix for Dean Reeves and company. And then in the third spot, I used Groom's All Business for Jose Duarte. Third start of the year off a couple of wins in turf sprint stakes races. They've been out of town at Pimlico and Monmouth, but hard to argue with the form currently. So for me, 6, 7, 8, and 10.
Speaking of which, my niece gets married in a couple hours, and in the old days, my teeth would have been gnashing, missing Whitney Day. But in today's day and age, as it was with Flightline a couple years ago in the Pacific Classic, I'll just go to a quiet place and I'll watch the races. We'll be right back with the final pick 3.
For For more than 4 generations, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued the 102-year tradition of delighting their local following and faithful summer crowd with the finest authentic Italian recipes. Classic Italian dishes made with the freshest ingredients, served in a home-like setting. Some things have changed in the last 102 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
The only thing better than watching the races is watching your own racehorse. With nearly 20 years experience in the racing industry, Bonaventure Stables' share-based ownership program enables everyday fans to become part owner of a thoroughbred for far less than you might think, with all the ownership perks at Saratoga, Belmont, Aqueduct, and other great tracks. Experience the thrill and lifestyle of owning your own thoroughbred racehorse. Learn more at bonaventurestables.com.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Annually, my favorite race at Saratoga. This goes back to when I was a boy, when the Whitney wasn't even a Grade 1, and the Travers was clearly the event. Yeah, it was right up there with the classics. But I have always loved the Whitney. Hasn't been a handicap for years, which is fine. I have no problem with that handicap racing, you know.
Aladar won, right?
Yeah.
Aladar, and then
first through on the inside, beat J.O. Tobin and others.
J.O. Tobin.
Won by about 10.
A couple weeks later, another matchup between he and Affirmed in the Travers. Yeah. And again, signifying how things have changed.
Not a Grade 1 when Aladar won it.
Oh, really?
Fiorito's was the first time it was run as a Grade 1.
Oh. And I reference that all the time. It's kind of the turning point for the New York Reds, where Fiorito, with Les Hewlett on board. And if you don't remember, he was one of the leading jockeys out of the Finger Lakes, but they break through the gate, load him back up. And
he broke through the gate, again, and he was gone, right? Every step.
Yeah.
Into the turn, he was gone. Gray horse, right?
I don't remember.
I think he was gray. I know Winter's Tail was in that. I think Winter's Tail might have been the chalk. I forget, but he just trounced him. And you're right. That was, the day that the New York Bred program.
Turning point. I have this one, 3, 2, 9, and 5. I put National Treasure on top. I don't think invincible by any means, but Bob Baffert ships back across. And do note, it is we were here for Belmont Stakes weekend, got our win, shipped back. Now we're shipping. So, there are some things to consider, but that was a while ago. So I think the horse is going to be okay. Certainly that latest workout at Del Mar indicates that. The win up here was in the Met Mile, so it was a mile. Now we go a mile and an eighth. But you look back 3 starts to the Pegasus World Cup Invitational at Gulfstream at a mile and an eighth, ran well there. I'll go with National Treasure. I think underneath, if you're looking for a price, I thought Disarm was very playable for Steve Asmussen. I think this horse is better than we've seen in the first 2 starts of the season. Number-wise, because you go to the end of the 3-year-old season, wound up the 3-year-old season with the second in the Travers. That was the 4th in a series of triple-digit buyers. Now, hasn't gotten up to that so far this year, but the seasonal debut was pretty good, regressed a little bit position-wise in the second start, but the second start was the Foster. Third start back, and again, what we saw on the 3-year-old season, including races up here, I think Disarm is interesting at a price. Bright Future going out for Todd Pletcher, comes in off a win in the Salvatore Mile in the seasonal debut. Another one that last year put together a series of triple-digit buyers. First Mission for Brad Cox has a couple triple digits going 2 and 3 starts back. A couple that I don't have in my mix but are very intriguing. Skippy Longstocking for Safi. That win 2 back at Oaklawn certainly would put this one right in the conversation. And Arthur's Ride, I don't know what to make of the last race, but if we get back to that. So it's a fun edition of the Whitney, certainly. I mean, in this day and age, to see a dozen potential. Il Miracolo we'll have to see. They were talking about shooting for, I think, the Island down at Monmouth, potentially with that one. But we would still have a very full field, which you don't see these days in the handicap division. But for me, 3-2, 9 and 5.
I need my third selection to truly alter the ability of National Treasure. I need Arthur's Ride to be on the engine from the outside. And one of the things that I like, as disadvantageous as the 11 is, I think it tells Junior Alvarado you have no choice. You have to send. And I like that in the big picture because National Treasure needs to be softened up. I'm 9-5-11, expecting the race to unfold that way. I have Bright Future making the second start of the year off of the Breeders' Cup. The Salvatore Mile long ago back. Good prep for this race in here. First Mission, I think, is going to run very well here with the moisture in the racetrack out of the Ali Shiva 2 races back. And Arthur's Ride, that gigantic 111. And how often have we said this, Seth? Shortening up for the Whitney. 9-5-11.
We move on now to race number 12, the penultimate on this Saturday Whitney card.
Are we good a couple of minutes over today?
Yeah.
Okay.
Allowance non-winners of 1, traveling 7 furlongs in the 12th.
I'm not saying that's going to happen, but you like to know.
No, that's fine.
285 are my selections, but I cannot let this go by, just what they have meant to the game for 100 years. Mystifying. Black Cherry Cap. The Phippses.
Yeah, well, I was going to say.
They just don't run that many horses anymore.
But as has always been the case, you look at the breeding, you're like, oh yeah, okay, Phipps or it's always royally bred.
Yeah, they had that down pat, but fewer and fewer horses. They had that turf horse down at Gulfstream Park. We covered a couple times over the winter time. Just not many left after, being so much a player. I guess Mr. Phipps's mom was Wheatley Stable. So if you count that in the group, I mean, you're talking, 80, 90, 100 years. So, I don't say it on this program too often, but, it's good to see him. You'd like to see him run well. I'm 285. 285. Striker has Dial. Horatio De Paz's runner. The effort is not a very good buyer speed figure down at Laurel, but the off-going seemed to be okay and has run better since then. Kendrick Carmouche, I'm thinking I'd be on the engine, which generally speaking, I like.
Yeah.
Number 8, adding blinkers, is only the third start since February. And then Audacious, number 5 for Todd Pletcher, takes on winners in the second career start.
I have a couple of those in the mix. That same top pick, 2, 7, 5, and 6. Yeah, Striker has Dial. Love to know what that means exactly. I mean, it's dialed in, so that's obvious, but there has to be something more to the reference. Third start, they got ambitious and tried a stakes race and ran a pretty good second. So now has the debut maiden victory, which is always impressive on a muddy track. And then went into the first level and ran second, then tried a stakes race and ran second. I think is primed to go well, getting back to the more proper non-winner. So 1, St. Benedict's Prep, 4-year-old facing mainly a bunch of 3. I think there are 2 older horses in here. Most of the field are 3-year-olds. So older facing some 3-year-olds in here off of a good try last time down at Belmont at Aqueduct. Showed some speed, just got caught late. Audacious in the third spot. That is a Todd Pletcher runner off a career debut victory right here, Belmont Stakes weekend. And, it's always a test to move into that next condition, but seems interesting. West Point has Misenchanted with Dale Romans. I think that one could be a player as well. In the 12th, I have a 2, 7, 5, and 6.
We might have people tuning into the Handicappers Report at 9 o'clock and go, why are they doing the card backward? Why are they starting at race 13 and going back down to 1? So another thing, I don't know the rules, and I'm not a lazy person, but I just don't care enough because it'll take care of itself. But here's the thing, Seth. The 13th race is off the turf. 3 rolls it up. If everybody stays in, Drake's Passage couldn't run. You can't run 15. Nobody, because Drake's Passage, if there's like 9 scratches, might be 3 to 5 on the board. This is the old competitive edge. Nobody scratch out. Drake's Passage would have to scratch, and then you could do something else because there's 12 in the main body. I have an also eligible, and I have 2 MTOs, and this is the type of race, right, Seth, that the MTO, if it gets into the race, is going to dominate the wager.
Yeah. I'm going to have to ask somebody about that. But, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, technically, they
also have the right to stay in, right? All the main bodies.
Technically, the MTOs are also eligible. So I would think that. So, yeah, I never thought
and it would be – this is what I would be intrigued to know. Do the MTOs supersede the AE turf? I don't think there's any way they can supersede the main body, but would they supersede and jump number 13 with opportunities to run?
I'll have to ask, but that's one of those questions I think I would ask 10 people and they wouldn't know.
I agree. I think that's the case, but I mean,
and also practically speaking, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Yeah. But the thing is here, it's like, listen, it's the old competitive edge. If we all stay in, we keep the boogeyman out. So let's stay in.
This is another one where I switched up turf and dirt, obviously, because, as you said, the MTOs looked at the edge. 15, 14, 12, and 16. Drake's Passage on top for Christophe Clement. Comes out of a series of nice races on the dirt. Last time out was in the Brooklyn. Before that, the commentator against State Breds and ran very well to win. So I'll put that one on top. Phileas Fogg in the second spot. On the turf last time and ran okay, but on the dirt, 2 and 3 starts back and also ran well. In an off the turf for 3 starts back was a winner. And then in the third slot, we're going to go with number 12. Entered in the body of the field, Magical Ways, but there's good dirt races underneath. I don't think the surface switch would be any obstacle. 15, 14, 12, and 16.
And as I want to do, and I find great enjoyment with it, if I was guessing, and I am, the 1, the 2, the 4, the 6, the 8, the 10, the 11, and I think the AE, the 13, will opt out. And, I mean, it's going to pare it down, and Drake's Passage is going to get in. So scrap my 4, 8, and 1 because they are on my list of I'm guessing would scratch out of it and make it a short field of about 5 for Drake's Passage in the finale, scheduled to go off at 6:50.
And we alluded to it. Our monitor is kind of on the fritz, but we're on the fritz with a frozen picture from an hour ago or whatever.
Yes,
and we're looking.
I'll clue you in. Said 8:20, 7:20.
We are looking at a race from Belmont Park, which I assume is over.
It's the other Belmont Park.
The other Belmont. Clearly, the other Belmont Park.
Well, I see Racing Victoria, which I am now familiar with. YouTube, that's right. The brave new world we live in, and our viewers have it. So, no, we will not be handicapping race number 12 now. We started at 8 o'clock this morning. Handicappers Report ran a little bit over. It is no longer raining, and I don't think it's been raining for about the last 20 minutes. So we'll see, but we are off the turf in the non-stakes action so far.
Speaking of YouTube, I always try to like to make a note when I get stopped by people who A, just enjoy the programming, but B, are watching from various venues. And I met Tom yesterday sitting out in that little grassy area over by the jockey's room. And first thing he said was originally from Amsterdam, but now he lives in Maine, up by Portland. I said, you're right in my wheelhouse. But he said he watches from up in Maine all the time. So, Tom, we appreciate it.
As I said, I will. In the old days, I would have been gnashing my teeth at my niece's wedding, but I'll just be sitting there. I'll skip the early races, and I've already gotten the okay.
In deference to.
Yes, to the moment. But, everybody's got to take a potty break once in a while. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to make the best of it because those are the rules. There aren't many rules, but that's one of the rules. It has stopped
raining.
It has stopped raining. We'll see if Mother Nature helps us out the rest of the day. He stays, I go. Enjoy your Whitney Day.
This has been the Handicappers Report, brought to you by CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.